Oh, there we go. Yo, there we go. Now you can hear me. Hey, let's do this all over again. Thanks for unmute. We're muted. Oh, okay. Thanks. Hey, welcome to the BreakEFX podcast, episode 19 with Warm Tank Crew, y'all.
What? We can hear you out there. We can hear you out there.
Yes, I can see people jumping in on the chat on YouTube. Make sure you send some shout outs, and we'll give you some shout outs. Thank you all for tuning in. We're excited today. Yes. We are live here at the Spot 2.0. And we have our friends here, Bobby and Alex. Yes. Worm Tank Crew in the house. Love it.
Yes. How you guys doing today?
Great.
Great?
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
We're hyped to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah!
Hype!
Oh, not that hype yet.
Yeah.
Save it for the round.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much, for taking time out of your Friday, come hang out with us, just, vibe out. We know that time is valuable, so we appreciate y'all. Yeah.
You're valuable.
Oh,
You're valuable.
thank you.
You guys are valuable.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're here on a Friday night. We love it.
Yes.
Yes.
As you can tell.
That's real worm tank shit. Are we allowed to cuss at this time?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's real worm tank shit.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Ah! That's our jam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you can tell, we're partying here at the spot. You can see the lights; they're always going on.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you are in the Thornton area and you know where this place is, go ahead and stop on by and come hang out with us. We'll probably do a little session afterwards or something. I don't know.
Yes, sir.
Maybe.
Yes, sir.
See what's it. Like we always do, what we do is go through the history. And tonight we're going through Worm Tank Crew's history. I'm so excited. Yes. So usually we start this with and you guys can decide who goes first, but we want to hear your first experience with hip hop. Yeah. Just with you personally, each of this, your first experience, first time you'd seen it, just so we know where the spark came from.
deep.
It's a deep question, I know. Can you remember that far back?
I'll go first. I like to go first, even in battle.
Even in battle.
So the first time I was exposed to like hip hop, really like, I mean, I'm sure there were moments, but like the time that like sticks with me is when I was probably like 10. I went to this show at this rec center in like, I think it was like Greenville or something, and it was, I don't know like the name of the group at the time, but it was basically like Motion Underground performance team. And I know Rico was there, and I know Ray Ray was there, because I remember like the dude with the dreads who did like the crazy flip, and like, oh, that was Rico, and then I remember the dude that did the head spin, and that was Ray Ray. So like, I don't know who else was there. Like, Ep, you were probably there. Like,
probably.
Like a bunch of people were there, but like it was so long ago. But I just remember like seeing that, and then I was just like, damn, that's like the sickest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And yeah, really, that was kind of what like set the spark for me. But it wasn't until years later that I like actually found my way into like the scene.
Yeah.
Which you guys want to hear about that too?
Yes.
Sure. Right. So then it was like, I don't know. I mean, that was when I was, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, who knows? But then like years after that, my dad came home and he had seen a flyer of a breaking class in Lone Tree, and that was taught by Epi. What? And he was like, yeah, there's this like breakdancing class. Like, you want to go? So then I was like, heck yeah, I want to go. And I went, and like, I just remember thinking like, I didn't know it was possible to learn this. Like, I thought like it's like the circus. Like, you either just like are in it or you're not. And then I was like, my mind was blown. I was like, well, you mean I could learn this? So then I just became like obsessed with it. And then every week I would like take the bus down there. And I remember like the second time I went, which was the first time I took the bus, I walked the wrong way up that hill. And then I like made it as class ended. And then you were like, oh, class started at 5:30 and it was 6:30. And I was like, I know, I just like walked for an hour the wrong direction, because this is like before I had a phone or anything.
Yeah. MapQuest.
Yeah. No, for real. I had to like print the bus direction.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
The struggle was real.
For real. Back in his day. But that's where I met you, and then one day like Chris Martin and Cam and Brandon, they all came through. And then I was like, what? Like, where did those guys come from? And they're like, oh, you gotta come to like the real spot, like Motion Underground in Boulder.
Yeah.
And then that's how I like connected with Motion. And then from there, I connected with, like, you told me about Rockers Rumble, and then I went to the first Rockers Rumble and saw you and Fate. And then you connected me to Fate, who was teaching at my school in Denver the whole time. What? And that's how I got connected with like the scenes.
Wow. That's a lot of connections, man. You know your personal history very well. You just spit that out like nothing.
That's awesome.
Hey.
Yeah.
It's not important. And I tell people about it a lot. They're like, how do you get into this like weird headband thing? And I'm like, yo, it's flyers. Yo, so flyers are important.
Yes.
Flyers are important.
Flyers.
Make flyers cool again.
Make them cool. All these event posts.
Man, that is so awesome to hear where, your journey and how it started.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Yeah, and shout out to Fate, Ep. That's cool. Yeah,
That's
they,
super cool, man.
First kind of opened the door to you. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Bobby? I'm excited to hear this one.
Oh, okay. It started in the summer of 2005. It's like little tidbits, okay?
Started in 2005, y'all.
2005. That was also like when I started.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was the summer before my freshman year at CU for engineering, and there was like this free collegiate engineering summer camp that I was doing, and that's where I met these twins, Tom and Ben. Out there.
Yes.
Tom
and Ben.
But they were teaching some classes, like engineering classes, with this engineering camp, and we had this mandatory fun night. I know it doesn't sound fun, but it was actually so that's when they showed me like basic top rock and footwork. Just like, oh, this is so cool, and a little CrossFit. that was my first little experience.
No, that's a
That's
dope experience,
awesome.
man.
Yeah.
And yeah, they had like the Seed Breaking Club. This was before it was like officially known as Seed Breaking Club. It's like gathered, trained.
Yeah.
At T-Rex.
Rubber gym.
The rubber
Yep.
Shout out to
gym.
the rubber
Yeah,
gym.
the rubber
Gym.
gym. If you know about the rubber gym, you know about the rubber gym.
With it was called before the Seed Breaking Club. They were called Yes. Oh man, I'm old. Or am I everything? And so yeah, I'd be like outside training and be very intense because street styles would be like their training. This is before they're officially called street styles. So,
Affiliated. Yeah.
and then I think the first jam I went to was on the hill. I think there was a little show, Raw, and it was like really dark. I can't remember.
They were darker. It was
No,
dark.
They were
You went into the jam and it was like you go down
That was
stairs.
I bet that was at the root.
Yeah, at the underground.
The root.
Oh,
Yeah.
The root.
Yeah.
Underground.
And it was just like, what is this? But it was like so cool. That was my first cipher.
Was that the battle where Rock flew out to exhibition show?
Possibly, I think
No, that was a good
I
one.
remember.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was just like, oh man, this is my first time ciphering. Yeah, and I remember Katya was like, yes,
Shout out Katya.
Yeah, shout out
Like,
Katya.
Started Rockers Rumble.
yeah, Range Rockers and Rockers Rumble. Yeah, I would go like maybe once or twice a week or a month, depending on my schedule. And then, yeah, for about 4 years. And then, okay.
And then
This gets really good. Okay.
this is where it gets good.
Yeah. So this is where I met Alex. It was at this tour of the engineering center. And I think it was your senior.
Yeah, I was in a summer program.
No, this was before that. Oh, it's like,
Oh right, yeah, okay. I don't know.
and I was like talking to the kids, and I was like, yeah, I can see like break dancing. I can do break dancing. And then some of the other kids were like, oh, Alex can break dance too, and he can do a backflip. And I was like, oh,
Alex the backflip.
yeah, I was one of those. And then I like, oh, should I ask him? And it went over, and it was like, so Alex was like facing this way, and like, hey, I heard you can do some breakdancing, and you can do a backflip.
Yeah.
And then I was like, can you do a backflip? And I was like, and I was like, oh!
Alex the backflip.
And then he was like, oh, this is weird. And then eventually, I didn't see him for a while. Because the goal was done. Okay, whatever. And then I think that's when. Then there was like the summer following that. And then I was like a TA or LA, an assistant for that summer program for engineering, the multi-disciplinary engineering program at CU Boulder. And it was that time where everyone can go to the rec center and have fun and do whatever. So that's
Mandatory fun night.
Mandatory
Yeah.
fun night.
no, that one was just like a side thing. Yeah. But yeah, it was like Momo and I, and we were like, oh, let's train. Oh wait, no wait. Oh wait, no, it wasn't it was called High School Honors Institute.
But it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what it's called.
It was
Nobody
different
knows
summer
anything.
camp though. that was yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm piecing everything together. It was like 15 minutes ago.
He's like, yeah.
Oh, anyway.
Anyway, okay, so and then like
How y'all love
Alex
relationship started is
Alex
awesome.
had these crazy little wonderful speakers, and he was like doing some cool things, and Momo and I, let's go ask him. Yo,
And then Momo was like, yo, can we session with you? And I was like mad at him. And I was like, sure. But like Momo was like in the first meter, she's like serious. And
Yeah.
Yo, all right, cool.
And Bobby's like, hi. Yeah. And then, so yeah, we were just training a little bit, and then like Alex is like moving around, and it's like, I remember you. You're that guy that did that backflip. I was like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like, that's it. That's the origins.
Of Bobby and
Bobby and Alex's relationship.
yeah, that's how it blossomed.
Yeah.
And ever since then, it's been
Yeah,
true love since.
that's my beginnings of hip-hop experience.
No, I love it. I never knew.
It's like
Yeah.
so wacky.
No,
it's
yeah.
cool.
Shout out to Ben and Tom Leo. Yeah. I grew up with those guys.
Oh,
Trained with
Oh,
them at the
small
youth
world.
center.
What?
Yeah, and Momo.
Oh, good.
Yeah, shout out Momo.
Man, what a great start to your guys' personal journeys. I think now it's time to, let's talk Worm Tank, how Worm Tank started, and what was the idea of it. And first, the name. How did you guys come up with the name? What does Worm Tank mean?
There's many interpretations.
Yes, I want to hear these. Like, this is knowledge for all of us here.
We gotta start. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, really, at first, like, I feel like a lot of it began with like GWT, because that was like my roots, like with like you guys, and then and Bob, you jump in at any point, but like, so then I went to Boulder, and that's when like I went to Boulder basically because of front range rockers and because of like Rockers Rumble.
Yeah.
Like, because I had two choices, like School of Mines or Boulder. Both had like dope engineering programs, but Boulder had front range rockers. So I was like, I'm gonna go there. So we used to go to the rubber gym and train, but at this point, like front range rockers kind of had turned into like street styles and others, right? So it was kind of like when you went to practice, it was like street styles would be like mad killing it, like A-Rock and Twins and Randy and Momo, and like I think actually Momo got down way later, but Rio, like just like in London, James London, like all these crazy fools, and then like I was kind of new to it, and I like I was meeting all the like other people mostly. Like I knew the street styles heads, like I knew Adam and Andy.
Yes.
And but I also met like Bobby and Isaac and Bradley and Rob and like Sam Cantor and like all these other folks who were like kind of on the outskirts of that. And then I remember like we were kind of like the rejects, like the rejects freestyles, like so we were kind of like doing our own little thing. And then like A-Rock like asked me at one point, like he was like, hey man, like like would you be interested in like repping, but I've been hanging out with the rejects like too much, and I was like, oh man, like that's dope, but I was like, like I'm still kind of repping GWT and like doing my GWT thing, but I was really kind of like already like my heart was with the rejects,
Yeah.
And then so from there, like me and like I wanted to train like all the time, so like I would hit people up like all the time, like, hey yo, you guys want to go train, whatever. Be like, oh yeah, I'm down, but like not really be down.
Yeah.
And then like one day I made the mistake of like hitting up Bobby and being like, yo Bob, like you want to train, bro? And like back then, like Bobby was hella whack, like yo, I remember like people straight up told me like, yo Bobby, he's like never gonna be good. Like he doesn't practice. And I just hit him up and I was like, yo, like you want to train? He's like, yeah. And I was like, all right, when? He's like, anytime. So like we started going to the dance building, me and Bobby and Isaac, and we started going like every day. I'd be like, yo, Bob, you want to go to the dance building? He's like, sure. Like, all right. And the next day, like, hey, I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, sure. And like every day, and then we like started training like the three of us and like getting not whack. We would get kicked out of there a lot, and like we would have to go to the rec center, and like Isaac had to sneak in there. But that's like how we started thinking about this crew vibe.
Yeah, fun.
And then we were driving to VU for a practice one day, and then Isaac was like, hey guys, this was like 2 years later. He's like, hey guys, like we always like hang out and shit, like maybe we should like start a crew.
Oh no. This was going to Colorado Springs.
I think this was before, but I know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
But it was both on I-25 in like almost the same spot. So this was like, we were talking, we were like, okay, well, like, what could the crew be called, you know? And then we were like, oh, we don't know, like all this shit, but like it kind of like fizzled.
Yeah.
But then we were going to the Soul Mechanics Jam in the Springs, and that I don't even know what year that was. That was like
2000. It's saved in my calendar somewhere.
It was like
gathering.
yeah, it was like 2010 or something.
Yeah.
So we were going to the Soul Mech Jam, and then we were like talking about it again on I-25. Something about I-25, you know. And then Isaac was like, "Well, we're throwing out all these like serious names," and then Isaac was like, "Well, what about Worm Tank?"
Yeah. And I wrote this down on a piece of paper. It was like,
all right. And my first thought was like, I was trying to be like cool, you know. Like I came from like GWT, where like you were cool, like you were like yeah, like we're like cool motherfuckers, you know. And I was like, worm tank, like that's not cool. Like I don't want to be a worm in a tank, like whatever that means.
Yeah.
Like that's weird. Like that's too weird. That's kind of gross.
Yeah.
You know, like that's like if I wouldn't want to go up to the girl and be like, yo, what's up? I got worm tank. You know? Like, no, that's like so weird. So, but and then we were like, what is that? Like, where does that? And he was like, oh, and then it went back to Musa.
Okay.
Phase
Yes.
from LOF,
Yep.
and I guess what happened, and I wish Isaac was here to tell it, but like they were like rap ciphering,
yeah. And it was with his brother.
with Travis, yeah, and Musa like rhymed some worm tank, and then everyone like blew up,
Yeah.
and that was like the thing for that like party was like worm tank, but that just like stuck in Isaac's brain because it was like so weird. So then we got to the jam and we didn't have any good ideas, so we were like. He was like, you guys should just enter as Worm Tank. Like, it doesn't have to be the crew name, but just enter as that. So then me and Bobby entered the 2v2 as Worm Tank. And then, like even on the mic, they were like, Worm Tank? And then they were like, what the fuck is that? And then everyone kept coming up like, what's Worm Tank? What's up with, like, what's a Worm Tank?
Yeah.
We were like, well, what do you think it is? So, like, that's, like, the question for you guys. Right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? What do you think of when you think of, like, a Worm Tank?
Tank of worms.
I don't
Like, what kind of
Is
tank?
it?
Like a fish tank?
I think like
No, I would think like
an ant farm for
Well,
worms.
maybe-
Have you ever
maybe-
seen like Dumb and Dumber? He's like, I got worms. Like,
Yeah.
that's what we're gonna call it. I got worms.
What do you think? Like, what does the tank look like to you?
Oh me, I don't know. I think like maybe like a worm inside of like an army tank and has a little hat on it.
Oh, okay. It's like an army tank worm.
Yeah.
And like, so for me, it's like I grew up playing worms too. It was like the like battle worms where they had like bazookas and shit.
Yeah.
So I think of like a military tank, but like that tank has a bunch of those like worms on it, like with, like guns and ammo and shit.
Ready for war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what do you think?
What do you think? Yeah, I'm excited. Come on.
Oh, it's like worms moving around, sharp objects.
Sharp objects that explode.
Like in a fish tank or a restaurant?
They're like on it, like militarized tank, just like, yo, what's up?
And like
Just like that worms game.
And like Isaac, I think this is Isaac. He's like, yeah, it's like a tank, but it's a worm. Like it's actually a worm. Like it has like worm treads on it. Because Isaac, you know, he's like mad, just crazy with
Yeah.
like, the creativeness. So yeah, I mean, really, it was like we were just like telling people like, what do you think it is? And we were like, oh yeah, it's like this, it's like this. And like, no, it's like this. And then we were like, oh, this is like a dope name actually. And like it's weird, but also like we're fucking weird. Like it was like at the time it was like me.
It fits.
It was the three of us, me, Isaac, Bobby, but also like Rob, Bradley, Brad, Ravenclaw, freaking who else was like in the beginning? Like a few other, man, it's like so long ago. Like even like Kyle was around then, and then like a little bit later, that's when we met Larkin, and then that's when we went to Streetside, and that's when we met like all the young generation, like Julio and Changa and Walker and Gina and Kai and all those, Johnny, all those heads.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's where the name came from.
Yeah.
Just being weird, you know.
I love it, man.
Cool. Yeah.
Leave in the comments, what does worm tank mean to you?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah.
That's so cool, man. And the way people come up with their names is always so like just fascinating to me. I'm just like, wow, it's like it's just so cool. Everyone has such a different story. I love it.
It's crazy how you like signify your relationship, like your boy, like with like a name. Eventually, like everyone, it's like tribal almost.
Yeah.
And it's really cool how it all forms with everyone differently.
Totally.
Yeah.
We even used to like enter battles as like giant worm tank, like GOET.
That
That was like
What?
the first ones that we entered was like giant worm tank because like I wanted to rep GWT, but I also wanted to like rep the new crew.
Mhm.
And that was like a way to like do both.
Yeah. That's so dope, man.
Yeah.
I love how it started, man. As soon as you guys started, like maybe go through some memorable moments of Worm Tank that are maybe special to you guys. I know you probably have a bunch, but I mean, it's been a long. What did you say? 2010. You guys about 11 years now. Like, I know you guys have been repping hard throughout those years and doing your guys' thing. Maybe go through some memorable moments that you guys really love.
I guess like the first time I met like Julio, Chonga, Gina, Chonga, and Kai, and Walker. Like we were training at the rec center on the rubber floor. Alex comes in with these kids. These kids. I
Did
think
they
like
pay the $5? No, just kidding.
no. I remember I think
Nope.
Kai like kicked my sunglasses and was like,
Who's this kid?
that was like pretty crazy, but yeah, I didn't think too much about it.
Yeah, and there's so many. Like I think definitely like Friday nights. That's like worm tank chill. Like that was every Friday for like years of my life. Like every Friday we would just go to like Isaac's house or my house or Ian's house or Absolute Studios, shout out to Dia, and just like kick it and like hang out all night and like do whatever. And that was like those were like such dope moments. And then like I feel like at the height of Worm Tank was like the Rockers Rumble, where like they made like the community leadership award, and I remember like that night, like because I didn't know they were gonna like give it to me, but everyone else knew. So that night, like everyone came through to Isaac's house for a chill, and we had like a sleepover, and that was like we had like mad heads, like the Denver homies, like Short and Stans and French Fry, like all those kids came up, and like she was there, and like all the like older heads, like the Amita, I think it was like pre-Amita, like Utah was always around, Sabrina, like everyone was there. And then in the morning we like took the bus to the jam from Isaac's house, and I remember like standing at the bus stop, and there's like 20 of us like at the bus stop. And then we had this little thing that we did, like, oh, this is like another moment, like we did a show for Musa actually, and we made this routine called the Musa, and we used that routine like probably like 50 times. Like every show we were like, all right, do the Musa, like everyone go. And so we did that show, and then we were walking back to the hill. We went under the bridge, and there was this dude in Boulder, like under the bridge on Broadway. This dude just playing an electric guitar, and he just had this little like silly little beat. It was just like ding 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 ding. So we were like ciphering to that, and then we like left, and we started singing. We were like dun, 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 dun. And we had like a mob of us. So then when we went to Rockers, we like walked in, but like as a crew, and we were like singing that song. We were like dun dun dun, but there's like 20 of us there, so we were like this like army like moving in, and it was sick. And for me, that was like the like peak, because at that time we had like I think 38 members in the crew.
Dang.
Yeah, we had like
I didn't realize you guys
people.
went that deep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because we had like all those people that were there, but then also like people who were in different places, like freaking Ambolo, who was in Spain, and like people like Denver and Fort Collins, and like so we had that moment. We had like so many heads. Like I remember there were jams. Like I remember the like Earn Your Stripes jam, we had like 4 teams enter the jam. It was like worm tank, tank of worms, worming up in a tank.
I remember that.
So it was like, yeah, this is crazy. So those are like really those memories for me from like early days in the crew, like just like not giving a fuck, like just rolling deep and like throwing down, like.
Yeah. Did you guys have a certain way you like? I mean, most crews, breaking crews, they like battle someone. And you guys value them.
Yeah, we do.
They have to go like 3 rounds for each person who's there. And the craziest one we ever had was in the peak when we battled French Fry in.
Yeah.
We did 75 rounds.
Poor French Fry.
How's it going?
And he,
Yeah, he's still going.
That was absolutely, that was so crazy. Yeah, that was like the thing. It was like 3 rounds for each member, like worm, tank, crew. Like you had to do like 1, 2, 3 for each person.
Yeah, that's dope. No wonder why your cardio is like way up here.
Birthday rounds ain't nothing.
Birthday rounds ain't nothing, for real. Jeez, that is so awesome. Yeah, I don't know. Take us through maybe a little bit of the journey, because you had met the newer generation after you had started, right? You met them at Street Side, like you said. Where did the journey go from there with Worm Team?
All the way up.
Oh, right, we know that for sure. You just kept recruiting and kept moving, and
Yeah, like really, like we never like recruited. You know, it was always like, you know, with Worm Tank, it was like if you're like around and you're down, like it doesn't even matter like if you break. Like we have people in the crew who like they don't even jam. They don't even like.
they're just family.
Yeah, they're just like my roommate in college, like Carson, he was just like the homie.
Yeah.
And everyone knew him, and he was always there on Fridays. And we like put him down with the crew. We're like, hell yeah, like you're part of the crew. You know, like just as much as anyone.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter. Like you don't have to be dope. Because that was kind of like no shade. It's all water under the bridge.
Yeah.
But like that was kind of something we felt from like street styles. It was like they like put down all the dope people.
Yeah.
Right. And then like we were the rejects, you know, and we were like, oh man, like we don't want to be like that. Like they're like, shout out Street Styles, you guys are the homies. Like
Yeah.
But like we wanted to be like everyone's welcome. You know, that's probably why we got so big, because we weren't like, you know, we were like, oh, you're not good enough. You know, it's like, no, like if you're like, if you want to hang out and like you're around, then like you're down. You know, and like we didn't battle like everyone in like that. Like of course, like if someone doesn't break, like we're not gonna battle them.
Battle Carson in?
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to be more inclusive, and it's like if you're down, you're just down.
You're down. Oh,
Yeah.
You're down. No, I love that. I appreciate that. I honestly think that like that attitude is what shifted the change in the scene. You know, because it was like you said, like, you know, it wasn't just freestyle. So like that GWT was like that. We were very, you know, exclusive. We were very like picky on who we let even be around us. You had to be dope, like, you know, like that's just how it was, and that's just how it was back then. And that's, I think, from what I'm understanding, you guys definitely played a huge part in making a change in the scene of like being everyone's welcome, and that's how it is right now. It's love, you know. So thank you for playing that part, man. Like that's huge.
Well,
man.
that was like super intentional, because like, you know, like coming up with you guys, like I felt like I got like, I don't know, I got dealt like a really lucky hand, you know, because for whatever reason, like fate like kind of like took me in and like was like, I think because I just went to East, you know.
Yeah.
I was like down. He was like, all right, well you can like get in my car and come down to the spot, you know, and train.
Yeah.
And then from there, like I kind of became like the like, maybe this white boy has potential. And then like everyone was like cool with me being there, so like I was just there. But I felt like I didn't have any like skills that I brought to the table, but it didn't matter because like you guys were all so dope that I then like became dope. And I saw that as like, whoa, like I got dealt a lucky hand, but like maybe there's people who like weren't that lucky, you know. And like so for me, I wanted to like give everyone that like that dope opportunity that you guys gave me, because like without that I wouldn't be here, you know? And that was like so big for me. And then the other thing is like you know, I came from like middle class, you know, City Park neighborhood home, and like I didn't have any relationship with like you know, the streets or like violence or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't even like 1/100th of a gangster, you know? So like I couldn't relate to a lot of the like beef and like
Yeah.
the drama and like GWT, I was around that shit all the time, you know?
We beef with each other.
and like for me, that like made me like feel like really like it was cool, but it was like I couldn't like go there because I never been in a fight. I never like stepped to anyone. I was like, oh shit, I'm just like this little skinny white kid, like what the fuck?
Yeah.
So I was like, I didn't feel like that was my world. My world was more just like, oh yeah, like I love breaking and hip hop, and like these people have like welcomed me in, so that's what I want to like represent to everyone else. And like, and then that's what we taught like all of our kids. You know, we were like, hey yo, like when you're at the jam, like you show respect to people. Like if they do something dope, like you got to show respect because that's dope. You know, if you have beef with someone, like word, like you can beef with that person. But if you don't, like if you're battling someone, like you got to show love because like otherwise you're faking the funk. You know, like you see so many battles these days where like someone does something amazing, right? And especially back then in Colorado, and it's like, it's like what? Like what do you mean? Your crewmate just did something like half that good, and you give them hella props. You know, and just even like shaking people's hands after battles, you know, and like just being cool with people. Like I think that was like a huge motivator for all of us. You know, we had been like the whack ones and the ones who like were not, you know, we're not cool. You know, and I think like that was like something that when I started putting it out there, like when we started putting out there and then like getting it back, like I have specific moments where I remember like and it started with like, you know, DWT guys because like they like we already had this connection, but I remember like, you know, even like seeing Dash, you know, and like he was always like more of like lighthearted DWT guy, you know, all the time, but like sometimes like not like Fate, right? Like Fate is like die hard motherfucker. Yeah. But like just like seeing him like reciprocating some of that love, like our kids, you know, and being like, oh word, like this, like, you know, it works because like nobody wants to like throw mad shade on someone who's like trying to show them love, you know. And in the beginning, we got a lot of pushback, like because it was like, oh, these fools are like, why are you soul clapping for your opponent? You know, like these fools are like whack, like what are you guys doing? But I think we just kept like pushing the agenda, pushing, and after a while, like,
no, I'm gonna clap for you.
And after a while, I think people like saw that it was authentic, and like that, like I really did, like we did care about everyone, you know, like we wanted to be homies with everyone. Like there was like, you know, we had like little beefs here and there, but like we were like, yo, like we want to train with everyone, we want to like be down with everyone, like we don't want our next generation to come up and like have like inherited beef, you know. Like I had that with like LOF from DWT. I had this like inherited beef, and anytime anyone's like LOF, I'm like, what's up, fool? Like, what'd you say? And I was like, oh, that doesn't make sense. And then like, when I started like actually like meeting these like names that I'd heard, I was like, oh, like I don't get it. Like it seems like a cool dude to me. Like what's going on? So yeah, I think that's like, it's dope that you guys see that, because I think that was a big thing that we like pushed for as like a crew, just like that unity.
I think like because we saw the generation before, like GWT, we see both sides of the game being kind of played, and where it's evolving now, it has a lot to do with the generation that came before or after GW, and that kind of made it a little bit more of a cohesive place to get down. But it's also like, you got to respect GW for coming with like that straight raw and like showing you how to battle in a whole different perspective.
Oh yeah. So. And I mean, like I remember like the battles at the Tivoli, like there was like some raw moments there, and like I don't think that rawness would have necessarily been as apparent had it not been for like the beef that was going on, and I think that like without like that generation, without like GWT and like LOF, and at the time, like I guess it was like Solmec and even like Super Fresh Crew.
Yeah,
like,
we're all battling each other hard.
Yeah, like without that, like we wouldn't have had room for like realization. Like that was so necessary, and like And also like a lot of you guys were like coming from a different place, you know, like, you know, we had a bunch of like Boulder kids.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't coming from like, you know, the west side. They were coming from like Boulder High. You know? That was like a whole different vibe too. And I think like that's really dope because we can still like bring that energy, you know, because like that I learned that energy from you guys and how to like bring it in a battle. Even though I couldn't relate to like the circumstance, I could relate to the energy. And when it was time to go into battle, like I saw like how Fate went in, and I was like, all right, that's what I want to be. Like I want to go in that strong. And I think that because it came from this place for him, it didn't come from that place for me, but it was still the same energy. Like I was still like going with that.
I've definitely seen both you two have it's almost like the eye. You guys, there's moments where I've seen you guys battle. You know how to turn it on, that battle essence of like, yo, it's time to battle hard and bring it. Like I've seen you guys do it, and you do it respectfully, you know, and that's the game changer right there, for at least in my eyes. You know, I appreciate what you guys do right there. Really get that out.
Oh yeah,
Bobby, man,
Bobby has the
Julio's
eye.
scared sometimes. It's like,
Look at me. Don't look at
it's
me
like,
that way.
like-
Good. You're good. Yeah.
yeah, people say like I'm intense, but I'm just like really focused, you know. I'm just like I'm not angry. I just want to tell you.
I just want to tell you, I just got these eyes.
Not creepy.
No, man, it's awesome. I mean, just the change in energy from then to now, it's just huge. And respect for you guys doing it, man, and having that motto of like everyone's welcome. You know, it's huge. It's a game changer, man. Yeah, let's go through some more. Maybe it's some more little. It's Lalo. He's at the door. Hold on.
Lalo.
Hey, do me a favor. Go let Lalo in, leave.
Yep.
Lalo's here. Yeah, Leo. Any other memorable moments of Wednesday? And like anything that is, what are you guys doing now? What's going on now?
There's like so many, because like we would always have Grand King Fridays where we hang out and cook.
Yeah.
So it's like hard to say. I guess like one might be this training at Isaac's place. How dad. Like sometimes Isaac would come back with his Audad and we'd like chill and like eating this thing.
And Dad's like a big like Texas sheep. It's like these big horns, and Isaac would bring back like a chunk of Dad.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what's an Audad?
Yeah.
First time I'm hearing that, yeah.
What is this? And I'm like eating it. It's like
This was like
So
before
weird.
vegan days. Don't eat the homies, but you know,
we don't.
Pretty vegan.
it was pretty vegan.
Wow.
And I remember one of those nights too. Like we were playing Sheep Wolf, this like stupid
Yeah, that's the
game
other one.
that Isaac and his brother would play, and like Rain was there. Like Rain would play it, and like Kai was there, and like we would like things would just get wild, you know, like in a good way, like in like just like having fun kind of way. And you had like these like, you know, little kids like 10-year-olds like French fry, and then you had like, you know, Isaac and Matt and like all these like, you know, people who had like finished college already, and then like everything in between.
Yeah.
And there was this one night we were playing this stupid game, and like Isaac was like dragging Kai across the floor or something, and Kai was like clawing on the wall, so he like grabbed this like door that they had and like ripped it off the wall, and then it was just like everyone just kind of like was like, what the fuck is going on? And the door's like off the wall, like Kai's like hanging by one arm, and Isaac's like, it was just like, I was just like had this memory of like, man, like we were like just having so much fun, you know, like it like didn't matter, we were just like messing around, like he was always around like the dance floor or around breaking, but we would just like do some like wild, weird, like stupid shit. And I guess like another thing is just like, you know, coming together as like a crew and like training, and then also battling. And I think like everyone has this experience with their crew where like you train with people so much that like you feel this like it's like this connection, you know, it's like this blood connection because you put it in so much like blood and sweat with those people. You know, like we had the same like training at Bavaria or like the spot, like even if you weren't like on the same crew, it was like you still like had this like, it was like
Connection.
heavy connection.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
Peace.
And like I just remember like being in battles, or even still like, especially like with Bobby or like Julio, and feeling like maybe like I wouldn't do the best that I could do,
Yeah.
but like knowing like that these guys like really had my back, and being like and being so confident in them, like not always confident in myself, but like always confident in like if someone goes out and they like do something crazy, like oh shit, like I don't know what I'm gonna do, but like I'll be like, yo Bob, kill that fool. Yeah, and then Bobby will go in, and like Julio too, and I think those are like that's what makes it so dope to like have that like brotherhood, or like tribe vibe, family feel, because when you're on like the battlefield, like you can like really like you can hold like each other in that way, and that's just like just to have someone like, because I know they feel the same way about me, they're like someone goes out and does an airplane, and they're like, oh, go get a bull. I'm like, all right. And I think that's like that's dope to like have that like support and confidence in each other, and just to like feel that. I think that's like super. That's like hip hop, That's like breaking in like a nutshell. It's like you can have that like that support right there at your back and like holding you up. Like,
Yeah, no one knows what it's like to go to war until you have your front line right there with you.
Comrades.
Just like, all right, go throw number one. Yeah.
Wow, man.
Yeah, and then it's like we do night hikes and like all these other non-breaking things too. On New Year's, we stay up all night. Well, this one we actually it's like 7 to death rounds, and then keep going, and then we run around screaming our heads off. And then
I love it.
we do the what's that video?
oh, how to dance in the rave.
Yeah, how to dance a rave at midnight, and then once the sun rises, we're like exhausted. We like we hike up the star, exhausted when the sun rises.
I always see you guys' posts. It's so awesome.
Yeah. That's so dope.
Well, and like the holidays too, like Thanksgiving.
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 And that's like the family,
Yeah.
Like I mean, like some of us we have family and stuff in Denver or wherever. But
Yeah.
like, like a lot of times like that's like the real family shit. Like we had this one Thanksgiving at the block, and like there must have been like 80 people there. Like it was crazy. Like we had this whole table like all the way across the studio.
Yeah.
And just like mad heads. And we had like 3 different turkeys and 20 pounds of mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
And like
I didn't read
Yeah.
I love that.
That's awesome.
all that butter and cream.
Whisking away.
I guess like one more thing like that we didn't talk about is this Worm Tank Jam.
Yeah.
Like that was like 8 years ago or something.
Yeah, that's like I can't even remember. That was before
That was
we
2012.
switched it up. Yeah.
It's like 2012 maybe. But like we wanted to throw a jam. This also came from like a place of like inspiration, but like kind of like being salty.
Yeah.
Because we like I remember there was like freestyle session in Mighty 4, like in Denver at Beta.
Yeah.
And we like it was like $25 to go. And we were like mad broke college students, high school students. We were all like, man, that's a lot of money, yo. Like, which is stupid. Like, it's so dope that like they made that happen.
Yeah.
But like we were all like, yo, we gotta throw a jam. Like we should throw a free jam.
Yeah.
Like,
Free air.
Free water, free floor,
Free air?
free workshops.
I'm there.
Free water, like free tamales, free
Tamales.
everything. Like, so that was like the inspiration for Worm Tank Jam. And then we brought out Thesis, and like Soul Rain came out.
Yeah.
And that was such a dope, like it was a small but like dope event at Seaside South. And then that was kind of like the spark that set off Block Party.
Yeah.
But it came from that place of like just wanting to like everyone come and like vibe out.
Yeah.
Just like have a good time. Like don't sweat, but like anyone can come. Like you don't have to have money to come. You don't have to have dance moves. Like you don't have to break your
like it was all style, open style. So
Yeah.
we could just like, you know, we just wanted everyone to feel like, yeah, they can come just to Noble Tile.
First time I'm
Oh
hearing
man,
this
it's
term.
boring.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on, where you been,
I know.
Joe? It's beautiful, man. Like I learned so much just through all this right now, just your guys' history. Like that's so awesome, man.
Yeah, and it's so dope that like I totally agree. I hate paying for gyms.
We did so
Yeah,
many like shows with Dia, boring, and then all that money would go into the jam. It's like, yeah, all right, which one's next? Let's perform.
Come on.
It's next week show.
I love it. I know you guys are really good at fundraising, man. You guys always have been like the one about you guys Band on the Bricks. You guys like own that shit.
Well, that's a dope little history element too, because like Bands on the Bricks, that's like legendary like boulder breakers like shit, because that was around like before I went there,
Yeah.
before you went there, like it might have been even like when you first started going there. They started that like at least 3 years before I even went to Boulder. Because I remember Isaac would be like, yeah, man, like we've been out here for years doing this. And that was my first year. So I was like, oh shit. Like, and they used to just do it as like raising money for themselves. Like they would just split the pot.
Yeah.
And then we started doing it to raise money for rockers, and then to help raise money for Block Party. And then it became like, it wasn't like working. It wasn't working anymore. It was like we were volunteering for like these events.
Yeah.
And I think that was like so powerful because everyone would come through. Like, you know, you guys would come through, Solmec would come through, freaking shout out Cuba and B and Ken and all those guys. Like they would come through and rock, and like Super Fresh crew like Win and Al Bang and Martin motherfucking Reed, like all these guys would come through. And that was just like so dope because it was like you knew it, there was no other reason but to just like support and have fun.
Yeah.
Like there's no other reason. Like you weren't getting paid, you weren't gonna win anything.
Yeah.
And that was like the ultimate kind of cipher. And like you guys saw, like we had some nights there that were like, damn, like it was hot. And like
Energy.
people on the street were like, what the fuck is going on? Like it was so crazy. And like we would have time to like it's just a cipher, like no one could even see. It's just like a crazy cipher, and like and with the live music too, like that was like a whole nother level.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an interesting challenge too, because it's not your normal music. It's like country and bluegrass.
Every week's a different
It's
genre.
You ever break the
All
country?
right, we're gonna dance to this weird thing, but sure, yeah, let's get it out.
And I think like that kind of inspired like Block Party vibe too, because we would dance to bluegrass and weird shit. And then we were like, sometimes it would be really dope. Like someone would play like some like song that's like you would never break to.
Yeah.
And someone would like hella kill it, and you'd be like, oh shit. So
He went to another universe.
yeah. So I think that like that was an inspiration for like what Block Party became, with like how wild the music was. 'Cause you just with bricks, like you never really know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had so many different dance genres coming to the Bricks too.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
yeah, you had lyrical, you had jazz dancers, whackers.
Yeah, I mean like Anna doing house out there,
Mhm.
Bill, like contemporary, like
So dope.
Yeah, you get everyone's eye with that, you know, because then it's, I think from an outside perspective, people think like, oh, breaking, that guy's doing the same move as that guy. But really, you're grabbing, you know, your leg, or the other guy's grabbing his elbow.
Yeah.
But yeah, then you have the other genres, so everyone's kind of just, you know, it's a little bit more inviting to the whole crowd. Yeah, it's so dope, guys. Yeah.
It makes it more fun too with all those people. And shout out to those that still come by. Like Cuba comes by like every year. Like
So dope.
Solmec, when they can, they come up as well. Yeah.
BreakEFX, yo, for Shake the Bricks, yo, freaking hype.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That was crazy.
Man, let's hope the summer brings some.
I know.
Band on
That's
the
it.
Bricks.
That'll be pretty hype.
That'd be sick.
That's also like when I think we started like the dollar for power thing. So I started doing windmills, and that would be a good challenge for me. And I'd like try and increase it every week.
Yeah.
Can't remember
That's dope.
the max amount I did, like 40-ish.
And then we had to start doing hand.
And then we had Julio sacrifice his arm.
Yes, thank you, Julio, for sacrificing your arm so many times.
Julio.
Julio, Julio.
I think most of the money from Rick's that amazing
That one arm.
The strong arm,
Called a strong arm.
not Frank Hayes' arm.
Not
Julio.
Frank Hayes' arm. Yeah. Colorado joke.
Yes. Man, that's so awesome. Any other notable things you guys would like to mention about Worm Tank? How much have you had? I don't know.
Shout out to B-Boy Munchies and the
B-Boy
fam.
Munchies.
We love you guys.
Love to Worm Tank.
I mean, I guess it's like, some like props and shout outs to the like people that like pushed us too, like there's, I mean, really, like, I feel like we still ain't shit, like we just have fun and like battle, but like we've never been like at the top of the scene or anything, we've just been like part of the scene. Like most of the time, like we wouldn't win jams, like sometimes me and this school would like get lucky and scrape by in the finals, against some people, but like I think mostly like we were always the ones that like we weren't pushing people in that way, like in the level way.
Yeah.
We were just like trying to keep up with the level. And maybe we were pushing people in the like love way, but like so many other like like of course like starting out with like G-Dub and LOF and Super Fresh Crew, and but then like Killing Fields and like We Are Not Koreans, like like those schools like Fong and Bao and them like super inspiring, and then like Dance to Live, like Chase and everyone like they were like so like Silva killing the game, and then like of course Anita came out of that and they were like holy shit, not to be fucked with at all, like that was like damn, the real like they were the ones that were like pushing us at like that level, like damn, we gotta like catch up, and then like ETN, past our bedtime,
Past our,
ETN, which is dope because like a lot of that, like Dash, right, like we grew up training with Dash, and like we used to go to his house at the Mezzo and like get down and try to learn elbow air flares and shit, and just to see like all these all these ripples that came out of like G-Dub and like all these crews that were just like affiliated in street styles, and like I mean shit, like we were like trying to keep up with A-Rock and London and me and Quang. Damn, shout out Quang.
Yeah, shout out to Quang.
We were like trying to keep up with all those fools, and then even like like Neil and the homies, like they would always show up from Glenwood and be like, yo, who's that fool? Like he's killing it. Like all those people just showing up and pushing the level, and like I think that was super important. And then like traveling too, and like being accepted like other places, like going to St. Louis, like what was the jam there? Show Me Styles, yeah, with like Whispers and like that was one of our first out of state jams that we went to, and like we saw like Supernaturals, we saw like Dizzy and Shishan and all those schools, and like we were like holy shit, and like everyone like being so welcoming and like open, and like we could stay at people's houses, and like like the breaking culture in the U.S. was just like so supportive, like in California, Vegas, like Chicago, and like you meet a lot of these like heads that like really inspired you, like freaking Busy, like someone who's like a legend, and you're like, oh, like that's so cool, like that you're like a down to earth person, like we could like talk to you and say what's up, or like Steve from Knucklehead Zoo, it's like, I saw you in a movie, bro, and like now you're like you're like giving me some time of day, I think like seeing people like that are that successful and that have like done so much, or like thesis, like we would always go to out of town jams, and like even before he came out for Worm Tank Jam, he would remember us, he'd be like, oh, Colorado in the house, and like this was time he was like in the BC1 and shit, like best in the US, and like and seeing like, okay, if people like that are that good can like show love, and like sure it's not everyone, like there's still dickheads, but like but if people who are that good can
song, like and like they, you know, they're so like intimidating.
Yeah.
And then Boogeyman's like, "What's up, bro?"
Yeah, it's all love.
Still, like, hella love. Like I think that inspired us too to be like, yo, we don't gotta be like hard. We don't gotta be, you know, like uptight. Like
Yeah.
if these people who like we look up to so much and who are like, you know, like Colorado doesn't have many people that are like on that level, you know,
Yeah.
who have gone to that level. I mean, like freaking Data, you know, what the hell? What's wrong with that dude? What does he even eat?
Right, seriously.
But especially back then, you know, like before like pre-Bowser days, you know, like I mean, I guess like Fate and Ray, you know, they were making some noise and like Ken Fury, but really like we didn't have anyone who's like an international level.
Yeah.
And then seeing someone like Isis come in and be like, you know, really just like down to earth. It's like, oh, we don't really need to be like, you know, like mean to people to like be good. You know, like, we could be good and like still be like nice.
Yeah.
I think that was like really inspiring too.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so dope.
And like and some of the other jams too. Like the jams were like without the jams there would have been no reason to do anything. Right?
Yeah.
So like shout out to like Spencer, Spawns One, for like throwing Hip Hop Congress jams. Like those were like the jams that were like every other month, you know, like that would be like pushing everyone. Like that's where you meet all these people, like the underground, you know, spot at the Tivoli, and then like King of Hearts or like Loose Screws. I mean like all the work that like, you know, Chase and Silva and, you know, like a lot of people like put in to make these events happen. And then Rockers Rumble, you know, like being like the biggest jam in Colorado for so long, right there in Boulder, you know, like that was like, holy shit, that was crazy. And you know, it takes a lot of work to do stuff like that. And I mean, as you guys know, like it's not easy to throw a jam. And I think like the people who throw jams, like they're the backbones of the scene, you know, like without people like doing the events, there's no scene. Like there's people doing things, but the scene is when we like come together and like have a jam. And without like the love, sweat, and tears that like the promoters, right? Like that's such a like silly word for it. Just like the volunteers, right? Like that like come up with like, hey, we're gonna like hit up this city or this company and see if they'll like throw some and like Rise and Shine, like that, like putting in just like there's no glory in that shit. Like but without that, like we wouldn't have a scene, you know, like I remember like Rise and Shine the year that I won it. That was like the highlight. That was the highlight of my whole breaking career. Was like winning that jam.
Yeah.
And if it hadn't been for Dash, like it just wouldn't have even happened.
Yeah.
You know? So like having, you know, people like that, like those are like, you know, that's the whole spine. Like without that, we're just a bunch of like disparate crews dancing on our heads in closed door spaces, and like there's no time or place for it to be exchanged. I think that's what's so hard about COVID right now, is that the scene is like it's still there, but it can't come together. So you have, but like imagine if we didn't have like the people who throw events, right? That's how it would always be. And this shit sucks. Like
yeah, you're right. I never thought about it like that.
We're so fortunate to have Rockers Rumble as like a staple, you know, and then to have like
inspire us to do other jams.
Yeah, and then like, you know, LOF throwing Mighty Four, and,
Mighty
you know,
Four.
like freestyle sessions up in Denver, you know, like those are like the biggest jams people would train for all year, you know, and like get ready for it. It's, you know, that 3-on-3 or that 5-on-5 for Rockers Rumble was like, you know, you knew you were coming with your boys and you were trying to get that glory. Like it's you know, damn.
And that brings like the out of state heads too. Like when you have a big enough event, and then you get the real inspiration, because not everyone, you know, can travel. But then when you have folks coming in from, you know, Vegas and New Mexico and Chicago and New York, like you're just like, whoa, like holy shit. Like I remember, I mean, I have these like, it's like thinking about Christmas, you know, like these moments with like rockers where I just like remember seeing fools like doing things that I was like, that's not even real. Like how can you do that? Like seeing like Airsick for the first time, you know? Like when they won that one year, and I was like, damn, that was crazy. Like that dude was doing some of that shit. Like, or like the cats from New York that came out and battled with Katya.
Yeah.
And just being like, oh, like seeing like real air power for the first time.
Yeah.
You know? Just like,
What? They're levitating.
yeah.
Only little Schopenhauer flare. Oh man.
Wow.
That's so
That
good.
is really some good stuff, man. Message. That's
Yes. Yes. Throw more jams.
No more jams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, park jams too. Like those park jams were like mad dope too.
At like Rasa Park.
Rasa.
Yeah.
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 Alex brought that up the other day.
And there's like an old picture that keeps floating around every year, like from that letter off the park. Yeah. I think once I know you're in it, I'm in it. We're all just hell young.
Yeah, Dwayne, me,
Yeah.
I think Serge is it, or maybe I don't know.
I remember.
Yeah.
Like, every year it pops up in the memory.
Yeah.
So fresh. So fresh, man.
Yeah.
What's next for Worm Tank?
My head.
What's next? Some more training, battles do start.
I think most of our energy right now is like block.
Yeah.
And keeping that going for everyone.
Yeah, that's kind of like a more sad question
Yeah.
because like with the block everything changed, you know, and it, all of a sudden like it became public. So like we had this public space, which was like always the goal, but then Worm Tank like had to kind of either become tighter or just go away. So like we had to kind of become tighter because of that. Because we couldn't we decided like okay, we can't just like let everyone in the crew because then all of a sudden like you won't have like the crew vibe.
Yeah.
So I think it's been like a real struggle actually. Like how do we keep this like public space, like all these people who like come through and train and like homies, but like not have 80 people on the crew. And like I mean there's people who like we're way past to adding a lot of people to the crew, and that has to do with like the accident and like people who have left and like not feeling like it's almost like Worm Tank. Like I don't know if it will ever like I don't know if we'll like add more people, like maybe, but it's almost like with block and with the accident, like it's this like sacred thing that like and like some of the people who like aren't around anymore, like for whatever reason, you know, even like Isaac not being around, it almost feels like it would be weird to like have a next like phase of the crew.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, like I really don't know with that. I guess like with us, like that's a whole different story. Like what we're doing, you know, it's like we're like training, you know, like like Olympics, yo, like
Olympics, yo.
yo, like
Cool.
but for real, like I think for me it's always just like what are we doing?
Yeah.
And like you know, I think Worm Tank is like, you know, it's like a mentality, you know, like even like Julio, you know, like he's killing it, like doing the meetup thing, and like we're all still like repping, like Congo will rep, you know, we'll rep to death,
Yeah.
but also it's like I don't want to hold on to like, oh, we need to like keep the crew going, like, we just need to like keep doing shit, you know, it's like you guys are like, okay, like, you know, G-Dub, BreakEFX, Response 2.0, it's like it doesn't matter, it's just like we're just doing it.
Keep
Yeah,
doing it.
and I think that's the important thing. And like sure, like the vibe of Worm Tank will always be like with us and with you know anyone who is in the crew. You know, like we'll always like carry that. But who is to say like in 10 years, like are we gonna have 80 people in the crew? Like probably not. Are we gonna have a different crew? Maybe. You know, like we're also like a repping blow-up crew, you know, and that's more of like a battle heavy crew. So like who knows? But like I think like the spirit, like it's already like done its work. You know? Like, it's like it's in the Colorado scene, and like it's in us, and it's in like the block, and it's in you know it's sprinkled around everywhere a little bit.
It generated a lot. I mean, from the story that you said, you know, like the love that is in that you guys have right now comes from Worm Tank. You know, the love that you have at the block. You know, like that family vibe, that just really, you know, being a friend for one another is huge, and that starts. Like I said, it sounds like it started with Worm Tank, and it's just surviving with all you guys. Like I said, throughout the scene, and everyone has felt it. I felt it. You guys inspired us to do what we do as BreakEFX. You know, like when we started doing our stuff, it was like, man, it was inspired by you guys and the love that you guys have brought to the scene. So thank you guys for everything you do, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And I think like when something's so special to you, you know, and like you have so much that you put into it, sometimes it's okay to put it on the mantle and like just, you know, keep that, you know, as an ideology and just, you know, keep that, you know, still the same, as you said, like, you know, same persona, same philosophy, just, you know, in a different set of armor.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, that's dope, man.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a good podcast. How can people? Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
My feelings on that is just like, yeah, it's difficult because we want to still be inclusive, and when we start like adding people, then there's like people that are around the block, and they're just, oh, that atmosphere we don't.
You don't want that atmosphere because you guys have felt it before.
But yeah, there's still like chilling happening, safe distance wise, watching, chilling, and cooking food. More like giving food producers.
Yeah.
Because we're so exhausted after like training so much and whatnot.
What's up, Tins? Yeah, you're late, Tins.
Tins!
Oh,
yeah.
What up?
Inner city?
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess like, you know, people want to like connect. Like we're always down. You know, like maybe like you guys can tag our Instagram and then like, you know, come to the block. We're always there. Like Friday nights, like people still are getting down. I'm not there every Friday because
obviously he's here with us.
Like life is a little crazy these days. But like, yeah, I think like, you know, come as you are. Like everyone's welcome, and like, you know, we're always down to like pop it up and share, and like, and also like, you know, if there's things that like I know we've had like our ups and downs with like different people in crews, and I feel really good about like where we're at with the whole scene. But like, you know, if anyone out there is like, yo, like that wasn't straight, like they said this, but like did that, like I'd love to like, you know, talk to people and like set it straight, you know, because like I feel like, you know, like some of the biggest beefs that I've ever had, I don't feel at all anymore. Like, you know, like B from Soulmate, like he used to be like the one fool that was like, oh, like now like, dude, B, the homie, like, like that's so dope, you know, like you can like look at the people that like that you really like had any sort of animosity towards and be like, oh yeah, like we like mad love, mad support, you know, like respect for everything that everyone's done, you know. So like I hope that like people feel like that with us, you know. I know like everyone does with Bob. Bob's like the little bunny of the whole scene, you know, bunny brown rice. But like, yeah, like we're definitely like always down to connect, you know.
Connect and talk it out, and that's one thing that's really different to me is the thing now is a lot of us talk things out, you know, like we're mature adults, you know, like we talk things out and have things out instead of back then it was just either like battle or fight.
Yeah, we can still like do rounds and then still talk about it.
Yo,
no, that's good.
I want to battle you right now.
Yeah, no, we'll still like smoke anyone. Like straight
You
up.
heard it, y'all better be training.
Oh.
For real, like we're not afraid of anyone. Two people come at us. I mean, like, you know, I know Ron and Bowsy be out there training. You know, like we're ready.
Oh,
They're ready, y'all.
No, I'm just kidding.
Battles are gonna pop
Mad
off.
love.
Oh, yeah.
Is training.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to train right now.
It's super hard to stay
And, like,
motivated.
that's one thing like the block can offer is like a training space. So like anyone who needs it, like, you know, come through and like we got you, because training is like it's kind of harder to find these days. So
Train, start getting ready for those Olympics, y'all.
Yes,
they're
sir.
getting ready for us.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So, we'll post links to ways to get a hold of them. Thank you for everyone who's joined us on the chat. Tin said he misses those Friday worm chills with you guys. Love you guys. Yes. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you guys for coming down and joining us on a Friday night. Again, like and subscribe. Next week, who do we have next week? We have
We have Ian.
Ian. Yeah, we have Ian. We'll be right back
Be right back.
next week. And then the weekend after that, we have the Juice.
Data.
Juice.
Oh.
The Juice himself.
Damn,
Yes,
yo,
I'm excited.
I want to come and sit in on that.
Yeah,
one.
come hang out, man.
So, and, like, big props to you guys for everything you're doing, like digging for the stories and the knowledge. Because, like, I mean, just telling it feels so good, you know, like, putting it out there like this. Because, like, you never have done that like in an official or in a formal way.
Yeah.
And I think it's important. Like, I want to put this, like, you know, on the walk site, you know,
Yeah.
like, oh, like, because that's the roots, you know, and like, and shout out to, like, you know, freaking Ed, like, dude, the ripples you've made, like, I'm a ripple from you, bro, from Soul Motion and Lone Tree, man.
Yeah.
Like they're so big, and like you can't even imagine how big those ripples are. Like they go overseas, bro. Like that's crazy. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the whole goal here. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate the love. Like, our goal here is just to get everyone's story out, because everyone has a piece to the puzzle, and everyone's piece is just as important as the one next to them, you know? And I just remember always being in the scene and everyone would be like, oh, what was it like? Or like, tell me about this crew. And I'm like, it's not my job to tell LOF's story.
Yeah.
You know, it's not my job to tell Soul Mechanic's story. Like, it's their job. You know, it's their place to tell. I can only tell my story and what I see, you know? And there's been a lot of eyes in this scene, and there's a lot of stories, and we're going to get it all out there.
Yeah. So many perspectives.
So many
you know?
perspectives.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Thank you guys for joining us. So, by the way, nobody has a Pokemon collection like Bobby.
About to break out some binders.
Yes. Yeah, shout out to
Yeah.
Munchie and Tins for getting up on that chat. We appreciate you guys. Yeah, tune in next week. Love y'all. Everyone be safe tonight. Peace. He's going to play some music, and then we're going to jam out and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah.
Lalo.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to my boy Lalo. What's up? We still live? Say what up to the camera.
Oh.
What's up? My boy Keith Lalo from TWT. Kicking it with Jaws. Thank y'all.
When the funky beat is playing and the hearts of love is strong.